Beruchim haboim, welcome everyone. We're about to begin Be'ezras Hashem together on Daf Nun Gimel Amud Beis, 4 lines from the top. The Gemara previously brought in the name of Rabbi Yossi that there was a prominent Roman Jew named Toidos who instructed the people of Rome to eat Gedim Mikulosim on the Leil HaSeder. That means he instructed them to take the same way that the Korban Pesach was roasted with a spit, the entire animal, the head and the legs together with its innards, it should be roasted. He instructed them to also eat such roasted gedi. The Chacham were very unhappy with that, and they said to him, if it wasn't for you, Toidos, as being a prominent individual, we would put you in excommunication. Because you're being machshil, the people. You're making it similar to that which is eating kachim bechutz liyushalayim. The Gemara now says, Rav Acha masni lo lahos masni so Rabbi Shimon. Rav Acha, he taught this statement instead of Rabbi Yossi teaching it in the name of Rabbi Shimon. Maski for Rav Sheshes. Rav Sheshes challenges Rav Acha and he says, Bishlama lamandetani like Rabbi Yossi necha. That's very well the way it was taught in our Gemara in the name of Rabbi Yossi, because it fits very well to say that the Chacham were very dissatisfied with Toidos' instruction to the Roman people. But if you're going to teach that it's the name of Rabbi Shimon who said this, then it's not going to fit very well. Behold, it states in the Mishnah, Rabbi Shimon poiter shelo hisnadev kederech hamisnadvim. When a person wants to make a nedava of a korban mincha, which can only be done with a minchas chitin, and he says, Harei alai minchas shel se'arim, shel barley. So, according to Tanakama, you tfois loshen rishon, and therefore, since he said Harei alai mincha, that already implies a proper mincha offering of a chitin, and therefore it's valid. He's obligated to bring a korban minchas chitin. However, Rabbi Shimon says poiter, since he concluded with the words mincha shel se'arim, and there's no such nidava of a mincha shel se'arim, therefore he's potter. So too over here, in the case of Toidos, granted they're eating gedim mikulosim on leil haseder, but since they never sanctified it, therefore there's no such concern that they're coming to then take what seems to be similar to be machil Yisrael kachim bechutz liyushalayim. It doesn't mashma like that. There's no reason to be concerned of such a thing, because since the statement, as Rabbi Shimon would say, would be invalid in the case of Harei alai mincha shel se'arim, so too this would be invalid too. So therefore there's no such concern that the Chum should have against Toidos. So it can't be that Rabbi Shimon taught this statement. Omar le Ravina le Ravashi. Uman de masni lok Rabbi Yossi minecha. Ravina says to Ravashi, but even the one who taught in the name of Yossi, the way we have it in our Gemara, how does that fit well to say that this was a statement that Toidos made, and the Chachamim came and told him that you're bringing people the wrong type of, you're causing them to then be similar to bringing kachim mibachutz, eating kachim mibachutz. V'omar Rava, behold, Rava said, Rabbi Shimon b'shitas Rabbi Yossi Omra. Rabbi Shimon was holding in the shita of Rabbi Yossi. That's what he said. The Omar, what was the shita of Rabbi Yossi? Af begemar dvorav adam nitpas. Even at the end of the words that he makes, a person is nitpas. What does that mean? In the case of, the Mishnah says in Tmura, in the case of Tmura, a person wants to then switch, he wants to bring sanctity to the animal that he has. So he declares that the animal that he has, harezu tmuras oila, has the sanctity of an ola offering, utmura shlomim, but he also adds a tmura shlomim. So according to the one opinion, that means to say that since he said first tmuras oila, we go after those words, and therefore the sanctity of this animal has the sanctity of a oila, of a korban oila. But comes along Rabbi Yossi and says, no, since he did say an oila of an oila and a shlomim, and he really did mean that, he meant to say that the combination, the both kedusha of both, but he couldn't say it at once. So he said first the korban of an oila and the korban of a shlomim, whereby we have to let the animal graze until it gets a mum, and then take the value of that animal and then buy half of it for the oila and half of it for shlomim. So since that's what Rabbi Yossi says, and Rabbi Shimon goes after those words, my love mid Rabbi Shimon sav like Rabbi Yossi. Is it not that Rabbi Shimon also then would hold like Rabbi Yossi? And therefore Rabbi Yossi nami sav like Rabbi Shimon? Whereby Rabbi Yossi also says like Rabbi Shimon. And therefore, in the same that Rabbi Shimon said, when a person says, Harei alai mincha shel sa'arim, it's invalid. So too, then Rabbi Yossi should say that in the case of Tudis, of Toidos, when he said that these gedim mekulosim also should not have any concern that he's coming to be machil the people for kachim mi bachutz, because since they weren't makdishit at the time that the animal was alive, there's no such concern that it's similar to somebody who's eating kachim mi bachutz. The Gemara says, Loi, Rabbi Shimon savar like Rabbi Yossi, v'lo Rabbi Yossi savar like Rabbi Shimon. Indeed, Rabbi Shimon might hold like Rabbi Yossi, but Rabbi Yossi does not hold like Rabbi Shimon. In other words, he holds like the Tanakama in that case of Harei alai mincha shel sa'arim, but for a different reason than the Tanakama. In other words, he will also say that he's chayiv a korban minchas chitin, but not for the reason of Rabbi Shimon, not the reason of the Tanakama. He would say, not because you're tfois the Lashon Rishon, but he'll say because a person does not make a statement that is meaningless, that has no mashmos. And therefore, the klal is that since a person makes such a statement, as he does over here, then it means to say that it has value. Whereby, since he does make a statement, Harei alai mincha shel sa'arim, and again, the only possible mincha offering that could be done with a nedava could be a chitin. So therefore, he's going to be chayiv. So therefore, it comes out that Rabbi Yossi could, yes, make our statement over here that Toidos instructed the people of Rome to eat gidim mekulosin. And the Chacham were very upset because, after all, that would be implying and make similar to those who are eating kachim mi bachutz. So therefore, even Rabbi Yossi would say that would be a problem, and therefore that's why the Chachamim berated Toidos. Says the Gemara, Iboy lahu. The Gemara asks the following question: Toidos ish roimi gaver rabba hava oibal egroifin hava. This, that Toidos, where the Chacham did not want to put him in excommunication. Why? Was it because he was a gaver rabba? He was a very chashav individual? Or was it because he was a very scary type of person who was a dangerous, brutal type of person? Toshma, let's bring a proof like the former. Oid zu dorash Toidos, because Toidos made the following drasha. Ish roimi, he was a man of Rome. Ma ro'u Chananya Mishael ve'Azarya shemasru atzmal kedushas Hashem lekifshan eish. He asked, what did these three tzaddikim, Chananya, Mishael, and Azariah, see fit before they could have run away from bowing down to the idol of Nebuchadnezzar? What did they see fit to then throw themselves into the Kivshan Eish al Kidushas Hashem? He makes the following Kal Vachomer. Nosu Kal Vachomer ba'atzmon mitzvardeim. From the Makkah of Tzvardeya, the second Makkah of the Eser Makkahs, he made the following logic. Umar tzvardeim she'ein mitzuvin al Kidushas Hashem ksiv behu va'olu ubo beveisecho upatanurecho masharasecho. Just as when it comes to the tzvardeim, who are not commanded al Kidushas Hashem, and yet it states in the Torah that they jumped into the houses and the ovens and the kneading bowls. The Gemara explains the Kal Vachomer. When is it that the kneading bowls are by the ovens, which is stated over here in the Pasuk? B'tanurecho misharosecho. It's the time that the oven is hot. Onu shemitzuvim, the Kal Vachomer is as follows then. Onu we shemitzuvin al Kedushas Hashem. We, Chananya, Mishael, ve'Azariah, who are yes commanded to Mekadesh Shem Shomayim, Al achas kama kama. How much more so we should then jump into the burning fires. So we see that Toido is made a kal v'chomer. It must be because he was a gava rabba. Rabbi Yossi Bar Avin Oimer, he says, Matil, a different reason why they didn't want to put him into excommunication. Matil milai lekisha tamidei chachamim haya. He put merchandise in the hands, in the keys, the purses of the Talmidei Chachamim, so they can go ahead and make business dealings to support themselves. All who put merchandise in the purses of the Talmidei Chachamim, they're going to be zoiche to sit in the heavenly yeshivas. Shemar states, Ki b'tzel ha'chochma b'tzel ha'kesef, that just as they were going to then be sitting in the tzel, in the shadows of money, they will also then sit in the shadows of chochma. And therefore, if they gave money to Talmidei Chachamim to support themselves, they will also then be zoiche to then sit in the tzel, in the shadows of their chochma in olam haba. The Mishnah continues now with other minhagim. Those areas who have the minhag to light neiros on Leil Yom Kippur, that means Erev Yom Kippurim for Yom Kippur, they should light it. However, those who do not have the minhag do not light. Excuse me. The Mishnah goes on to say, "Umalikim bebate knesios, ubebate midrashos, ubemevuos ha'afolim va'al gabe ha'cholim." The Mishnah goes on to say, however, even those who do not have the minhag to light neiros in their houses, however, do still light in the bate knesios, the bate midrashos, in the dark alleyways, as well as over the heads of the sick people. The Gemara now brings the following Tana. It states, "Bein she'omru lahalik, bein she'omru she'lo lahalik." Whether the minhag is to be malik neiros for Yom Kippurim or not, shneim ledover echad niskavnu. They both have the same kavana, which is as follows: they do not want to have a man and his wife be tempted to have marital relations, because one of the chamisha inuyim on Yom Kippurim is to desist from marital relations. And therefore, the minhag who has the minhag to light a ner for Yom Kippurim, that is because since it's improper to have a light in the room where a man and woman are situated, husband and wife, when they are cohabiting, when they are having marital relations, rather, therefore, it will prevent them from them having those relations on Yom Kippurim. The minhag not to light for Yom Kippurim is for the same reason, but that is because a man shouldn't be tempted by seeing his wife, whereby if it's dark he won't see his wife, he won't be tempted to then have marital relations. Rav Yeshua similarly said the following: Dorash Rava expounded, the Amech kulam tzadikim, and your people are all righteous. Lo'olam yirshu eretz, forever they will yoresh olam haba, ben she'omru lahalik, ben she'omru shelo lahalik, shneim lo niskavnu elo ledover echad. Whatever the minhag is, in the place it is to light a ner, or the place where it is not to light a ner, they both have the same kavana. One shouldn't be tempted and to then go ahead and have marital relations with his wife, which is one of the chamisha inuyim on Yom Kippurim. Omer Rav Yehuda Shmuel. Agav, we're talking about lahalik ner for Yom Kippurim. Rav Yehuda said, name is Shmuel. Ein mevarchin al ha'ur ela b'motzei Shabbos hoyo v'tchilas b'yosoihu. We do not make a bracha on the flame on Motzei Shabbos, except for on Motzei Shabbos, because that's when the flame was created. In other words, the light of the flame was created on Motzei Shabbos, when Adam HaRishon was instructed to take 2 stones and to make fire. And that happened Motzei Shabbos. Omar le'ahu sabo v'itemo Rabbi Bar Chano. Sometimes Rabbi Bar Chana yiyashar. Very well, what you said. V'chein Omar Rabbi Yochanan, and similarly Rabbi Yochanan said, Ulo hava rochiv chamora v'ozil. Ulo was riding on a donkey. Hava Shokil Va'ozil Rabbi Abba Mimine Rabbi Bar Chana Mismole, and he was flanked by Rabbi Abba on his right side, who was walking alongside him, and Rabbi Bar Chana, who was walking on the left side of him. Omar le Rabbi Abba Lu'ula. Rabbi Abba was on the left side, on the right side of Ula. He said to Ula, Vardai da amrisu mishmei de Rabbi Yochanan, ein mevarchin al ha'ur elu b'motzei Shabbos, hoyo v'tchilas b'riyasoihu. He said, certainly it was stated in the name of Rabbi Yochanan that you have said, right, that you have heard, that you make a bracha on the flame on Motzei Shabbos because that's when the flame was created, on Motzei Shabbos. Hodar Ula. Ula then turned Chaza Bebe Rabbi Bar Chana Bishus, and he then gave a glaring face, of an angry face, to Rabbi Bar Chana, who was on the left side of him. Omar le Rabbi Bar Chana, he then said to Ula, Ana lav aho amri. I did not say the statement on this. In other words, I wasn't saying that Rabbi Yochanan does not make a bracha on anything other than Motzei Shabbos. I would say that he would make a bracha even on Motzei Yom Kippurim. Eloho amri. This is what I said. There was a statement that was taught before Rabbi Yochanan. Rabbi Shimon ben Elazar oimer Yom Kippurim shechali yois b'Shabbos. When Yom Kippurim is chal on Shabbos, af b'mokom she'omru shelo lahalik malik mikvah Shabbos. Even those places that had the minhag not to light a ner for Yom Kippurim. Again, because we said, because in order to then cause a person not to see his wife and then be led to marital relations. So if that comes out to be on Shabbos, then you still light, even in that mokum, you would light a ner, the covered Shabbos. V'oni Rabbi Yochanan Basrei, and Rabbi Yochanan then, when he heard that statement, he answered, V'chacham oisrim. The Chacham prohibit even lighting a ner when Shabbos comes out to be on Yom Kippurim. Omar lei. Then Ula responded, Ada tehei. He said, this shall be. In other words, he was masking that this indeed was what was stated. And he was then happy, so to speak, with what Rabbi Bar Chana had told him. Kori ale Rabbi Yosef. Rabbi Yosef then called the following pasuk on these two sages. Mayim amukim eitza b'lev ish. A pasuk in Mishlei. There are deep waters of counsel in the heart of a person. The pasuk goes on to say on Daf Nundal Amud Aleph at the top, V'ish tevuna yidlena, and a man of understanding, he will draw it out. So explains Rav Yosef. Mayima mukim eitza b'lev ish ze'ula. What is it referring to? Somebody who has deep waters of counsel in the heart of a person. That's Ula. Ula had the counsel, and he looked at Rabbi Bar Chana angrily, but he didn't express it. That was enough to have the eitzah that was still deep in his heart. V'ish tvuna yidlena, and a man who has understanding, he will draw it out. This is Rabbi Bar Chana, who understood Ula's stare, and he explained himself. Asked the Gemara, Ve'inu keman savuha. These two sages, Ula and Rabbi Bar Chana, what did they hold? In other words, how did they know that Rabbi Yochanan indeed says, where do they know that from? That Rabbi Yochanan says you can make a bracha on the on the fire, Motzei Yom Kippurim as well. Ki hod Amar Binyam ben Yafis, Amar Rabbi Yochanan. We have a statement in the name of Rabbi Yochanan. Mevarchin al ha'ur, bein b'motzei Shabbos, bein b'motzei Yom HaKippurim. They had this statement that they knew that Rabbi Yochanan himself said that you do make a bracha on the on the flame, both Motzei Shabbos and Motzei Yom Kippurim. V'chein amod davar, and that indeed is the minhag.